Aid of North Carolina. Sorry. There we go. All right, now we're on. So this month we're doing a mission briefing with Legal Aid of North Carolina. And what that means is we are gonna really dive deep into legal aid and have a full presentation from them instead of a panel of different organizations. So it'll be a very focused meeting. Before we jump in, I'm just gonna review the mission and objectives of the Vmfa group. Our mission is to strengthen the local veteran and military community. And our objectives are to identify gaps, opportunities, and barriers in service to improve service for veterans and military families, coordinate information on services for veterans and military families, and educate veterans, military families, and community advocates on community-based efforts in suicide prevention. So before we get into our presentation, we're just gonna go around the room and do introductions. Please state your name, your organization that you're representing, and your military connection. I'll begin. My name is Landry Young. I am the Marketing and Outreach Manager here at the Joel Fund, and my military connection is my husband serving at Fort Bragg. And I'm gonna go counterclockwise to Brooke, okay?
Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke Dickhart. I am the Executive Director of the Joel Fund, and my military connection is my dad. So we do all this work in his honor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlisa Powell, and I am the Project Director of Legal Aid of North Carolina's Veterans Law Project. My connection to the military is my father is a Vietnam veteran, and I have served veterans my entire legal career. First at Veterans Department of Veterans Affairs, and then just serving on the private side representing veterans.
Hi, I'm Denise Bennett. I'm with the Veterans Law Project with Legal Aid of North Carolina. My connection to veterans is I am a veteran, and I am married to a veteran.
Hi, my name is Shelly Bao, and I'm a staff attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina. And my connection to veterans is I'm a veterans law attorney.
Hello, everyone. My name is Annalise Gentili. I live in Raleigh. I am a life and leadership coach, consultant, artist, author, speaker. I help professionals navigate change, personal and professional change. Conduit for Change is my business, and I am married to a veteran. My former partner was a veteran, so I went through his deployment to Iraq, and my father served in the Army, who's now deceased. So that's my military connection. And I'm also a teacher here for Joel Funds for their arts.
Yes. We can plug your class.
Yeah, plug the class a little bit later.
All right, we're gonna hop online.
Okay, Allie, you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Allie Anderson. I'm the Community Care Manager here at the Joel Fund. And my military connection is both my parents served, my husband and sister are currently serving, and my husband and I are at Fort Bragg. So,
thank you. Ross?
Hey, morning or afternoon now, everyone. Ross Yeager, Director, Wake County's Northern Regional Center here in Wake Forest. My connection to the military is that my father and my brother served.
Thank you. Gabby?
Good afternoon. I'm Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm the Director for Veterans Employment Services with the Division of Workforce Solutions, and I'm an Army veteran.
Thank you. Kim?
Kim Coaches, representing Mustang and Patriots Project, a nonprofit, and Kim Coaches Real Estate. I am a Marine Corps veteran myself.
Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Hainsworth. I'm a program coordinator with Veterans Employment Services, and I am also a Marine Corps vet.
Third one. We'll do one more. Paul? Another Marine.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paul Berry of Veterans Bridge Home in the Triangle area. Think more of NC Serves. If you think about what I do is NC Serves, and I served 30 years in the Marine Corps. So we're taking over here today.
Yeah. Where are the Army people?
Caroline?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Caroline Griffin, and I'm with the Durham VA Caregiver Support Program. Sorry to disappoint, I'm not with the Army either, but I am a Navy veteran spouse.
Thank you. Michael?
My name is Michael Worley. I am from the organization Stop Soldier Suicide. I'm the Client Engagement Coordinator, and my connection is through my grandparents.
Thank you. Russ?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Russ Hewitt. I'm a Veterans Career Advisor here at the NC Works Career Center in Raleigh. And my connection is I'm a veteran of the Air Force.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hi, my name is Amanda Mitchell, and I am a court liaison with the Veterans Treatment Court in Harnett County. And my connection with the military is both of my grandparents, and my husband is a public defender in our Veterans Treatment Court as well.
Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Randy?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Randy Silver with NC Works, which provide employment services for businesses and the veterans in Johnston and Wilson County. I am a Army retiree.
Here we go. Thanks, Randy. Yay. Lauren?
Hi, everyone. Lauren Hedgepath, work for Warriors NC. I am connected to the military as a veteran myself, and I'm married to a veteran.
Thank you. Carla?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carla Jackson. I am the Veteran Services Housing Supervisor for Wake County Veteran Services. My connection to the military is I'm a Navy veteran and my husband is retired Navy veteran.
Thank you. Jordan?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Terry. I'm a staff attorney with Legal Aid under Ms. Charlisa Powell. My connection to the military is, I guess I'm a veterans attorney, and also my paternal and maternal grandfathers served in the Vietnam War.
Thank you. And then our last one says iPhone. Are you able to introduce yourself? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Cool. Yes.
Yeah, hi, Mark Moore. I'm a retired veteran living in Wake County.
Great. Thanks for joining us. Okay.
All right. Thanks, y'all. So to kind of kick us off, I'm gonna ask Paul Berry to quickly share some NC Serves data on legal.
Let's see. Paul, you may have had to take a call. Oh, here he is.
I'm trying.
You're good. We can see it.
Yeah, can you see it? Yeah.
Yes.
Just super quick. One, Brooke, hats off, Landry. Great group coming together today. Very excited to always learn about legal services for veterans. It's so complex, and Legal Aid has been a great partner for so many years. So thanks for that whole team getting together today, and I look forward to the brief. But just over time, through the NC Serves network across the state, we've had about over 2,500 legal referrals. And then who's asking for it is not just veterans. And Landry could share these slides. Most of them are veterans, and you can see the service data, but we also have some family members, some spouses, some widows and caregivers. So I know it's good to have a brief from like Legal Aid to say, where can veteran connected family members potentially go for services? And then of course, client demographics. And then the last thing I like to share is through the NC Serves network across the state of North Carolina, when veterans are asking for legal services, what's below the green circle is the co-occurring needs that are being addressed when they're receiving legal services. So you can see that about 28% of those veterans who are seeking legal support also need housing assistance, and about 27% need food assistance. Those are very high numbers. So it's legal is often that thing that is keeping them from getting access to housing, jobs, things like that too. So just wanted to kind of share what that is, and just certainly look forward to learning more. Thanks, Brooke and Landry.
Thank you, Paul. All right, now I'll hand the floor over to Charlisa and her team. They're going to share a presentation with us.
All right, guys, give me just a moment to get this going. I am challenged when it comes to tech. Let's see.
There we go. You're not challenged.
Just sometimes. It's okay. All right. Okay, thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon. My name is Charlisa Powell, and I am the project director of Legal Aid of North Carolina's Veterans Law Project. I have with me two of my staff members. To my immediate right is Denise Bennett. She is a recent graduate. Well, first of all, she is a veteran, most importantly, and she is a recent graduate of Central Law School. And she is also an Equal Justice of America postgraduate Veterans Rights Fellow. It's a whole lot. So she works out of our Henderson office. To the right of Denise is Shelly Bao. She is a staff, well, she is an attorney who's been with Legal Aid for about 17, 18 years. She works out of our Wilmington office, and she does our military discharge upgrades. But thank you again for being here today. So a little bit about Legal Aid of North Carolina. We are a statewide nonprofit law firm. We serve all 100 counties through 23 local offices. We have, give or take, about 500 staff members. So you can see on this map, like our different areas that we serve. So even though we have 23 local offices, some of those offices cover, or most of our offices cover multiple counties. So you will be able to have your clients served by us no matter where you are in the state. Legal Aid's mission is to provide free legal assistance in civil matters to low-income people in order to ensure equal access to justice and to remove legal barriers to economic opportunity. We provide the legal and non-legal services that clients need to live safe, stable, self-sufficient, productive, and meaningful lives. I do want to highlight right here, our assistance is only in civil matters. We do get asked a lot to assist with criminal matters, but by and large, we do not do that. And we'll talk about the exceptions in a moment. So generally, because we do provide free legal services, we do have to have some, everybody cannot come in, unfortunately, because then we would never get anything done. So generally speaking, in order to receive our free legal services, you must be a North Carolina resident. There are some income and asset limitations. So right here, we say for most cases, the person must have income that's less than 187.5% of the federal poverty line. What that means, I don't know, but when we do intake, we have a handy dandy computer program that does that for us. But generally speaking, for our veterans work, there is I'll say generally speaking, if the person is homeless or at risk of homelessness, then there are no income limits for veterans or seniors or those who are experiencing domestic violence. And at risk for us for veterans purposes, by and large, that really means people who are couch surfing, eviction. If someone is going through an eviction matter, then they are absolutely eligible for our services. And then if you're a senior, so that's folks who are 60 and above, and again, domestic violence victims. You must also be a U.S. resident, or then there are certain non-citizens and certain lawfully present aliens and any alien that is a victim of domestic violence. So really what that looks like is, again, if it's someone, and I think you see some of this, we used to call our MPATH program the Battered Immigrant Program, and that's where you would see a lot of that is as an immigrant who is being battered. So the types of cases we handle, again, civil cases only. We do not handle family law matters, including divorce or custody. But again, there's a caveat to that. We will do the DV matters the custody or divorce, if the particular field office has the capacity. But then also if there's the person was in court for domestic violence protection order and their children involved, then they will provide the wraparound services for divorce or custody. But unfortunately, that is probably the most requested area just in general at Legal Aid. And one of the most requested areas of, representation that we get with our intake line. But unfortunately, we just don't have the capacity to do it. But we've been trying to figure out workarounds how to do it, but right now we just don't do it, and it's not in our priority list that comes from our board of directors of the cases that we can handle. So I'm sorry, that's all I can say is I'm sorry. But what we do is we do try to provide resources for folks. Including there's a self-help clinic that does show folks how to actually do custody matters for simple divorces. And it also includes like a packet so that they could do it themselves. And we do offer that at Legal Aid. We also don't, as I said before, provide representation in criminal matters. However, the caveat to that is that we do criminal record expunctions. And as you guys know, those are very, very, very important because a lot of times some folks just have stuff sitting on their record that can just be gone if it's, I think, more than 10 years. It's statutorily defined about what can be expunged and what can't be. We just did an expunction. Jordan, who's on this call, just did one for a gentleman who had something on his record from the 90s. And then when we looked, that's what he came to us about. When we looked again, there was something else that was also able to be taken off. And now, of course, he's happy, and that makes his frees up housing and other job opportunities for him because that's all that he had on his record. And this is also very important for him because when I first met him last year, he was living in at a homeless shelter for veterans. And then he transitioned to an SSVF transitional housing. But now hopefully this frees him up to be able to go and do more things and just have that burden, that kind of albatross lifted off of him. We're also able to help with driver's license restorations. We know that those are important because if you can't get to your job, then you're not going to work. Unfortunately, most people in North Carolina don't live in urban areas where there is really good transportation. So you really need to have a driver's license in order to do things and get anywhere. And what I'm finding a lot of is people think that their license is actually suspended, but it's really some fines. And then all they have to do is actually go pay the fines. But again, that's, but they won't know until they actually look. So we also handle housing matters, public benefits matters, education matters, employment matters, consumer law matters, domestic violence matters, as well as community economic development.
So just a couple of questions really quick, if you don't mind, if I just kind of pop in as they come up. One person asked, does the VA disability income count as income towards the level that you're?
We keep talking about that. It all depends. So if the person is, because we do get funding, our main funding comes from VA, and it's from their Legal Services for Homeless Veterans program. For if they are at risk or actually homeless, then income does not matter at all. And so they can come in. But if and then they don't have a dishonorable discharge. If they don't meet those criteria, then they would have to meet our income qualifications for legal aid. And we do accept, we do count Social Security and veterans benefits as income. Okay. So the short answer is yes. It depends. We're lawyers. Our favorite word is it depends. So yes.
But if they have a dishonorable discharge, can't an expungement help get that up? Sometimes, am I misunderstanding?
So, and sometimes no. So for the expunctions are for criminal matters, and we use expunctions and expungements interchangeably. It means the same thing. It's removing things from your criminal record. So that has nothing to do with when a veteran gets out of service. And then, it's, their discharge status. Now, it could be because they did something criminal in service, but then that could be two different things. They could have a criminal record, and then they could have a dishonorable discharge. Now, that's where our discharge upgrades come into play. So that's something that you just do, and a process that goes just to the appropriate military board. So Shelly here does our criminal record. And I'm now getting myself confused. Shelly does our discharge upgrades.
Okay.
So, but a veteran can come to us, for one thing, and again, you could be talking to them and they could say, I did this, because one guy that I was working with, he actually had served time at Fort Leavenworth while he was in the military. So then, we actually couldn't do Fort Leavenworth because Fort Leavenworth is a federal prison. But if it had been state prison, we could have helped him with that plus the discharge upgrade, right? So we could try to help him with all things and help him get his benefits too at the same time, do a character discharge determination.
Okay. One more question before you move on. You had said you have packets and information about the Family Matters. Is there another organization that will assist with Family Matters that you refer to?
Generally speaking, no, not for legal services organizations. That is really an area of great need. But by and large, I think it's just because, divorces and custody matters can just be very long and drawn out. And so our resources are very limited just across the board anytime you're doing legal services work. So generally speaking, I don't know of any other legal services organization that offers free custody or family law work. I know there's an organization that we work with in Greensboro, it's Triad Legal Group. They do sliding scale fees and what we call low bono, which is still very, very helpful. So we do refer them, a lot of our clients to them, but again, they're just in Greensboro. But even with some of our homeless veterans, I know one of our guys, I had to refer him to them for divorce. If they don't want to do it themselves, but that's a big ask. To have someone do a divorce themselves.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I wish we could make it happen.
That's okay, but you have the information.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Paul was asking, does legal aid work with disability rights of North Carolina?
Yes, we all kind of work together. We're all in it together. I'm also a Social Security attorney. That's kind of where I started. So we definitely, are in that sphere. We're all together. What is it? Disability Rights of of North Carolina. What's the other one?
Charlotte Center?
Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy. I'm thinking Pisgah. All of us kind of work together to, support our veterans and just our, North Carolinians just across the board.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Just a deeper dive into exactly what we handle for housing matters is public and subsidized housing. We do a lot of private landlord tenant evictions and fair housing. Again, the number one area that we get requests for assistance with, and I think this is probably even just legal aid across the board, is evictions, but definitely so for the Veterans Law Project when we run our data. Landlord tenant, private landlord tenant, that could also mean like housing, conditions. So if a person has a lot of, roaches, what holes in the floor, mold, things like that, you would be surprised at how bad some of these landlords are. That also encompasses that. I would say for this area, for everyone, when people come to you about a housing issue, make sure that the thing that we hear a lot of, well, my landlord emailed me that I have to get out tomorrow. Well, that's not how it works, and I know it's pretty scary to know that your landlord is giving you this notice and you better get out now. But unless it comes from the court, on your door, from the sheriff, you don't have to do anything but call legal aid. that should be the first thing that you should do, because our housing staff throughout the state is absolutely amazing. And we know that early intervention is absolutely key. So that's the one thing I would want people to take from our housing work. A lot of people just hem and haw, and then they wait until after they go to court, and then, the court has now told them, oh, well, you've got 10 days before you get padlocked. If we can't help, then call us before. Even depending on where you are, some of our locations actually have court housing, housing clinics at the court, so you can actually go and get an attorney, one of us, that they'll ask for a continuance, but it's still very helpful for a lot of people. Okay, we've already talked about, family, public benefits. That's Medicaid appeals, Social Security, and by Social Security, I mean SSDI, SSI. We help with food stamps appeals, and of course, veterans benefits. Shelly over here is also does Social Security and food stamps work as well. Consumer, we help with foreclosures, bankruptcies, car repossessions, and debt collections. I would say we've been seeing a lot of requests from veterans for foreclosures here lately. I guess it's the economy is not good, and so that has a trickle-down effect. For veterans, this wouldn't necessarily be for veterans, but maybe their children. If they have children who are in school and have special needs or have disabilities, we can help when the school's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we want to make sure that our kids get what they need in school, so we can help with making sure that schools are properly handling IEPs and 504 plans, or if your child is having some discipline issues and suspensions, we can help with that. And again, we also help with unemployment benefits as well as loss of licensure. So in addition to doing our work, in the field office, we do our work through these statewide projects. Now, what's different about these statewide projects is that they're focused on particular subsection of a group of people or a particular topic. So for us, we are down here at the Veterans Law Project, so because we focus on veterans, but we also have a senior law project where they focus on all things seniors. So in a senior that's 60 plus, a lot of times we get a lot of overlap between these two, and it really does work out for the veteran, because either way you're good no matter what. For, of course, the disaster relief project, that has been very helpful, and they've been very, 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 very busy since Hurricane Helene. But we know this is North Carolina, and we know that hurricane season will be starting this soon again. So who knows where they're going to be again. And I was just seeing on the news today that because all the rain that we're having, that they're having some flooding again up in Western Carolina. So I think, our staff will be even more busy. Okay. So this goes back to what I was saying, our self-help section. We have listen and learns. We call them listen and learns. And some of those are, depending on what project you're a part of, or what public benefits always is doing something for Medicaid or whatever. So you can go to our website to kind of see what the webinars are, and you can register for those, and that's right there. But then sometimes it's just go, if you get our information, you'll get notice of we might be doing a Facebook Live. But generally speaking, when we're doing the self-help sessions, they are general information only. Nobody's going to ask specific or provide specific individual legal advice. They're telling you how to do it, and then they're providing you the information to do it. All right, so now the Veterans Law Project. We are one of those special projects, and we are statewide, but we're located or headquartered in Greensboro. I sit in Greensboro, but as I just said earlier, Denise here is actually in our Henderson office, which is way up 85, almost in Virginia. And Shelly is out, east, right? Yeah, all the way in Wilmington. And then we have other staff in Greensboro, but it doesn't really matter. No matter where you are, we will still be able to help you with your, help veterans with their needs. Okay. So what do we do? We, all three of us are licensed, fully accredited U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs attorneys. So we can represent veterans before the VA with their disability compensation claims. We also do discharge upgrades and military records corrections. That's what we focus on especially. However, in addition to what we do, and let me back up, we are also moving into the criminal records, expunctions, driver's license restoration, and wheels. Because we also, no matter what outreach event we go to, we're gonna get asked, do y'all do wheels? Do y'all do wheels? Technically, it used to be that we would only do it, depending again on the office, if there was, the person had like a very disabling disability, or if they're senior. So my thing was, if we go to these outreach events and veterans keep asking, do y'all do wheels? Then maybe we need to start doing wheels, so we can do wheels. Yes, and then housing matters. Jordan Terry sits in our Greensboro office, so she is able to help us with housing matters for our veterans. She, prior to coming to us in January, was actually our primarily a housing attorney. No matter what, because we do have a central intake unit, we want people to call us on our central intake unit. And that's what, one of the things that we pride ourselves about with our Veterans Law Project is that we have our own dedicated phone number and email address for veterans to reach out to us. And this is important because legal aid gets a lot of calls. I think 2023, the statistics were we had about 400,000 people that called, but only around 20,000 were able to get served. It's just the resources, the need outweighs the resources. So if you call us at our intake line, we absolutely will call you back. That is something that we pride ourselves on and was one of the bedrocks of what we wanted to do when we formed the new version of our project. So if they call, we'll do our intake, see where it is that they go, where they should go, and then we'll do a soft handoff to the right attorney. So we're not going to say, we can't help you, call back to our central intake unit. No, that's not how we do it. We will contact the particular attorney or field office for you, and then they will give you a call back.
Will you share that number with us to send out?
Yes.
Okay. And one more question. I just want to confirm. I think I already know the answer. To help with wills, they still have to be low income.
Yes, or senior. So if you are a senior, whether you're veteran or not, you have to be 60, above 60. For veterans, we would say at risk, or homeless, yes, it would still be free. It's just, it all depends.
Okay.
But one of the things that I've learned though is that we did do a clinic last year specifically for homeless veterans, for wheels and healthcare housing attorneys, and it just was not well attended. It was attended by older people. And so then I was like, but of course, wait, this was for me, I was like, I just wasn't being culturally sensitive. Well, maybe they're homeless. So maybe they're like, well, what do I have to give away? But then I was like, well, maybe we've got the wrong focus. It should be anybody, any of us can go to the hospital at any given time. And we all have, that's something we have control over, is the decisions that we make about our bodies. So maybe that should be the focus as opposed to wills. How about whether or not you want to die, whether you don't want that person who knows nothing about you to pull the plug, maybe that should be our focus. So we would definitely be happy to work with people to do like clinics for that.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
And then we spent a lot of time connecting with our veterans, with our non-legal community service providers. As I said before, sometimes folks will call you about one thing and you're starting to hear all these other things and needs that they might have. So we try to provide a holistic wraparound service and again, provide soft handoffs to people, because by the time people get to us, veterans or just clients in general, we are the people of the organization of last resort. And they've heard so many no's, and we're talking about it, playing hot potato. So our goal, again, is to not be a part of the problem, to help be a part of the process and, well, something positive, and do the warm handoffs. But we can't do the warm handoffs if we don't know who's out there doing the work. So that's something that we also pride ourselves on, is really being out there, knowing, making the connection with folks in the community who are also doing this work. So then they can send, and you guys can send information to us and folks to us, we can send folks to you, and everybody is happy. And then sometimes, it does take a village to try to work these situations out for our veterans, because, yeah, you hear some humdingers sometimes, and it really makes you more invested when you're also working collaboratively with folks to make it happen for people. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, even just the data from that, Unite Us about how from NC Serves about usually there's more than just one issue. So, and that was specifically for legal requests. They're also needing the other things. So it's great that you guys are aware of what's out there to be able to connect beyond the legal services.
I will say one thing that stuck out to us was this one gentleman, he called us for what we thought was it a housing issue? No, he said it was a driver's license restoration issue. And then in talking to him, his driver's license had been suspended, I think, in Ohio, but he was in Fayetteville. Sir, we can't help you with that, Bob. And he was trying to go back home because he had a job. But then we found out that what he really needed was a bus ticket to go home. And so Ida Baker, who's the supervising attorney in Fayetteville, the managing attorney in Fayetteville, knew about this organization in Fayetteville called Veterans Empowering Veterans, where it's like a bartering program. So he went to do some work and they paid the bus ticket. And then he went home and then he sent us a message saying, I got home, thanks. Perfect. Perfect. So, I'm like, this is what it's all about, right? I wish we had more of that program everywhere, because I think that is just so perfect, because people need money, they're able-bodied, right? It works for everybody. Okay, so where do we go? We go everywhere. If there's a stand down or an outreach event, we are there. We also go to homeless shelters, VA medical centers and clinics, and VA GPD residential facilities. I currently am sitting in Jordan. All of us are now participating in being on site at certain homeless and GPD and SSVF facilities at least once. We were doing once a week in Greensboro, but that started to get to be a lot. So now it's once a month at it's 4 in the triad, 4 facilities in the triad. And it's through Open Door Ministries and Servant Center. Denise here is in Oxford, at Butner at the Vet Life Center. And then Shelly we're opening the door for that at the
Ashley Center?
At the Ashley Center in Wilmington. And it's just so helpful, because we know that folks are homeless and we're at risk of homelessness, or a lot of folks just don't have cars, they're sick, they just can't do it. They can't get to us. So we go to them. Again, let's go to you. And it makes it a lot easier. And one of the things that I really enjoy about that is you also get to know the people. They get to know you. I love sometimes some of the guys will just come and talk to you. And I am very happy when they leave, but then I'm also kind of sad because I've developed these relationships with them. And then, but ultimately we want them to do better. And so I just find it, but of course, it's also easier to do what you need to do, get them signed to sign documents, whatever you need. It just makes the process of representing them a lot easier. Okay, we're almost done. So like I said, how do we get our cases? We have, and I'm going to share the dedicated phone number on the next page. We have, you can call us, email, direct referral. Those can come from our service providers like you guys. It can come from field offices. It can come from wherever. We were just at the General Assembly, so it can come from a legislator. Sometimes we get our referrals from our central intake unit, and again, our local offices. And so this is how you can contact us. This, the 919 number is our dedicated number. I wanted something like 1-800-GO-VET, but you know, it didn't happen. And then there's our email address, and you can just leave us. We usually tell people, just tell us what you want. Sometimes people are like, hello, just call me back. Well, sir, ma'am, could you give us a little bit more information about that?
How long, if we're working with a veteran and we want to refer them for, say, maybe a discharge status, is there an approximate amount of time it takes that you could give us just to be thinking ahead when we're making referrals for them?
Discharge upgrade matters can be anybody's guess. Like, Shelly, do you wanna speak on that since?
Once you submitted the application, the wait time right now is 18 months or more.
However, what she's not telling you is one of hers, was it last year, towards last year, it was a 30-day turnaround. I don't know what she did, but she did it. But usually it does take.
It's at least 18 months.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's good to know.
And for the veterans benefits cases, if the person is homeless or 75 or above, there are certain situations where they will expedite the claim. And I honestly know from working with my homeless veterans, like some of the turnaround time for them is quick, fast, and in a hurry. I've had some people who we've submitted an application and a decision has been made within like 30 to 45 days max. So,
okay, that's good to know, just as for our knowledge, as we're making referrals, and don't want to give them false timelines.
I would say by and large, most people are understanding about the timeline for the character, for the discharge upgrade, But what we're now starting to do is if the veteran is, they want that discharge upgrade because they want benefits, then we also file a character discharge determination with VA. So then, because VA can make the decision and make a determination about whether or not a person is eligible for services for VA purposes. Because my belief is let's do that and get that going, because we know that that's going to be maybe 6 months or less. Whereas we don't know about the discharge upgrade. And so far that's kind of worked, because we actually got a favorable character of discharge determination just last week for a veteran. When did we file his claim? Maybe February, so we already got the favorable character of discharge determination status. And I'm pretty certain, based on what I've read, that it's probably going to be, a favorable finding. He's going to get his VA benefits for PTSD. Let me wood. I don't want to jinx it. And again, he just came to me for a discharge upgrade. And, this man is literally homeless, sitting in a wheelchair with no legs. And I think he'd probably been in the park across from us, and I just didn't know him. And then I'm like, wait, no, let me see what I can do to help you now. And so he's actually getting ready to transition out of the homeless facility. And when I told him about the character discharge determination I went there Friday. He smiled because sometimes they just don't smile, and they're in a homeless facility. They're not where they want to be. And he smiled, and I was like, that just made me so happy just to see him smile, because this is something that he never even thought would have occurred. And certainly, I guess this time last year, or maybe the end of 2023, he was living in the park. And it's just wow. I don't even think he had Social Security disability then. And I'm like, how could you not have Social Security disability? You are literally in a wheelchair and have no legs. And so here we are. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah. That's right. We have another question in the chat that says, are you seeing an increase in housing calls for assistance as many of the rental assistance programs are sunsetting? And if so, do you have any recommendations or resources that we may be unaware of to respond to this type of inquiry?
I will say just at Legal Aid in general, we had an increase in those cases because we were a part of the rental assistance. But again, housing issues across the board at Legal Aid and also in what we do in our intake unit. It's housing, it's eviction. We don't have any, we only are as good as the resources that you guys have. We don't have any money to give to people. The only thing that I know is, especially if I know someone is homeless or at risk, hey, let's get you over to the Healthcare for Homeless Veterans program. They can help you, you know. But otherwise, I think, unfortunately, that's just where we are. You know, there is no affordable housing anywhere for anybody. And that's one of my concerns for our seniors as well, because it's like, well, where are people who are on fixed income supposed to go? And every time you turn around, they're like, oh, I got a rent increase. Well, rent's increased, food's increased, food prices are increased. I think unfortunately, that's just where we are. I wish I had a magic wand to fix it, but we don't. We're in it just like everybody else. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. That's the one I do hate, because I don't really have any suggestions for that. But thank you guys for what you're doing.
Oh, thanks. Still have a long way to go.
Trying to find a solution to that matter.
Yeah. Kim had asked, what was the timeline on assistance again? Kim, did you have a specific kind of assistance? Because I think there's it varies based on the kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think most people, you know, when they call, they're already behind the Powerball, you know, and whether it's housing or food assistance, you know, people usually wait too long. They don't, you know, a lot of veterans are proud. They hate to ask for help. And then when they do ask for help, you're, like I just said, you're behind the Powerball. So I guess the two things would be, I came up to Wake Forest a couple months ago for the housing event you had, and that was very informative. But the timeline on those was really long, and I thought I heard you say 18 months, but I just wanted to clarify, if you need, you know, if you're being evicted, you know, and you've got to be out in 2 weeks, what would be the timeline on trying to help with an eviction notice?
The timeline is that the person really, as soon as they get that notice, they really truly need to call legal aid. And we provide, you know, we are masters at this. This is one of the areas that we definitely help with. Call as soon as possible. Do not wait until the you know, the day after, which is sometimes what we get too. Because even if you get an extension to, you know, you get extensions to find the person time, that's still time, which they may not otherwise have. Or if you have a good attorney that's working, you know, maybe the landlord will, you know, they'll work with the landlord, or the landlord will work with the person. So yeah, the only thing I can say is as soon as possible, because we can also try to work with other in the interim, because you have to, if they go to court and then they're denied, or they, you know, they lose, then they can appeal, but then you have to pay rent bond. That's money that a lot of people don't have. But still, you might ultimately lose. But again, a lot of this is, you know, it's finding time, which again is very important for some people. And then while the process is going through, you know, we can work with other organizations to help find, is it the back rent that you need? Is it the housing that you need? You know, help find those wraparound services to help you as you're going through it. That's the best answer that I have, but it's not, it's definitely not 18 months for.
Well, that was, yeah, I was just gonna tell her, Kim, that was for, the discharge upgrades timeframe.
Yeah, because the hearing, if the veteran asks to have an actual physical hearing with like the Board of Veterans Appeals, those are currently being docketed 3 years out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes depending on what they want and why they want it, they could be highly encouraged to forfeit the hearing so the paperwork will go through faster.
Okay. Paul, do you have a question?
A comment to kind of support what Kim said and Troy. and the team from Legal Aid. Yeah, we're seeing through NC Serves, we're seeing more like they've already got the eviction notice, and they probably should have come to us 2 months ago, a month ago, so we could get them over to legal aid. And we continue to work with our partners to be like, get them to us sooner. So we're not spending funds, putting someone in a hotel room. And we all have experience with that. Let's see how left of that we can get. And there's very little discretionary money within these communities. So community-based organizations having funds to be able to pay a month's rent, pay a 2 months rent, pay a late fee or something. And the most disturbing piece is we're seeing an increase in elderly veterans with eviction notices because they're on fixed incomes that have really not gone up, and the rents have skyrocketed, for example, and then they just run out of discretionary money, and their quality of life is suffering because they're choosing to not do other things. Food, transportation, clothing, household goods, things like that. They're choosing to lower their quality of life just to stay housed. So I just appreciate everything that Legal Aid is doing to help us with that. Thank you.
Allie?
Yeah, Paul kind of hit the nail on the head. I've also seen an influx of cases recently, where people either show up, the day before or the day after. And we always try to hope that they show up the day before because it is so much easier to keep a veteran in their home than it is to get them rehoused after that eviction is on their record. So I would just encourage, as we're sitting here talking about, what legal rights they have, and with our we're going to do the housing symposium again, starting that conversation. I know that housing is a big topic for all of us. It's just to just remember that upstream intervention, thinking of trying to address the problem sooner rather than later. I know it's hard when they don't come to us sooner rather than later. But that's why we're all here and we can call each other. So just grateful for the other people on this call that we can refer to. So.
And I would say too, if you have a client that says, oh my gosh, I have to go to court tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? Tell them to ask for a continuance because you have a legal aid, you're reaching out to an attorney. And then I think that gives them they'll extend it. They'll give them a continuance and then call us. Jordan is on the phone. I know we had one, was it last week? Well, someone said they had court, was it today? I think it was Thursday or Friday that we got the message. And so this was out in Charlotte, and the attorney, he's great. He is so great. Justin, he was great and he got it handled, so, our housing attorneys are highly motivated. And if it's something that's next day, call us, email as many of us as possible. And so then we can try to get on it, and at least I'll say, Jordan, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? And she'll let us know.
Good to know. Yeah. I think we had some people that are on the call that we don't have their contact information.
Okay.
Do you have the list?
Yes.
Just want to make sure we can get them. Or after this meeting, I'll send out an email with everybody's contact information as well, so we can kind of connect to fill in any of those gaps. So Shelly, I need your email, but we can get do that after.
And then Jordan.
And Jordan's email. Lauren, I'm missing your email.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we can send you everything. You can put it in
you can put it in the chat. And then Michelle, I'm missing your email as well.
Michelle sent me her email earlier, so I have that.
Awesome.
I need Jordan, I need iPhone, and I need Lauren.
We have that was Mark. We have Mark.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Jordan, can you put our information in the chat? I lost connection. I don't know what happened. My computer is not cooperative.
I know my internet kind of went.
Oh, it did?
Too. Yes, I'm glad to see on there. Huh. Okay. Well, Awesome. I think that's a great wrap. Thank you guys so much for sharing your information. Very valuable, right now.
For me, like I've heard you talk through this before, but hearing it again just really helps me understand it even better. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, and we're here and able to do it as many times as needed. Just so we can, get the word out there. And this goes, like I learned good information from you two today. So I think we need more of these talk to each other so we can really know what each other's doing. So thank you guys for all that you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. So, just a few, updates to kind of wrap up the meeting. For those in the area, starting today is our spring student showcase. So we're gonna have some of our artists' work on display all week, at Broadsides and Brews. I'll include the flyer in the email, but we're really excited. There's a whole schedule of events. So tonight we're doing a Meet the Artists event. There's gonna be a rum tasting for those that partake. There's gonna be a collaborative art project, all kinds of things for all ages. Also happening soon is our Operation Art Summer Session. Classes are starting soon. We're also gonna have workshops throughout, May and June, July. So check those out. I'll include that flyer as well. Our next Vmfa meeting will be June 10th on health and healthcare here and virtually. And then my one last special event is July 8th. That is our Triangle Housing Veterans Symposium or Veterans Housing Symposium that Allie alluded to. So that'll be a big one. If you came to our one in January, you know that a lot of valuable information is shared. It'll be just like that, hybrid as well. So I'll include all that information. You'll get that email soon.
Does anyone else have any other announcements, events, or anything they want to share with the group? You want to mention Recon?
Yes. Oh, thank you. We are also starting a new event. So we've had a lot of questions about if we're doing our big annual resource fair again. We're not. We're kind of pivoting. We'll do a series of miniature resource events called Recon, Resource Connection. And these will be held every other month, starting next month on June 14th. So in exactly 1 month almost. So each recon will focus on a different social determinant of health. So this first one in June will be on veterans benefits. They'll be hosted at the Joel Fund. We'll have some vendor tables in the hallway and then with breakfast. And then we're gonna go into the art studio and have collaborative discussions between veterans and family members and the vendors that are there. These will be really great. So I'll send out that information as well. They'll be held on Saturday mornings.
And they will not be hybrid.
They
So
will not.
most of our events are hybrid. This one is really about bringing the groups face to face to be able to have conversations and sit down and talk. So. If no one else has anything to share. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you next time on June 10th.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.